The 20 years spanning from the early 60s to the late 70s were filled with innovative car features of their time. Do any of you remember cassette players or even carbureted engines and just how simple they were compared to today's electronic systems? These are just some of the features many of you would expect to see in a car from those eras, but are no longer around in today's vehicles. I'm also going to explain briefly about some of the basic reasons why they're now just a part of history and the advancements that led to these changes. So let's get started. Number 1, metal dashboards. Metal dashboards were a hallmark of vintage cars, known for their durability, ruggedness, and distinctive appearance. Unlike modern dashboards, which are typically constructed from plastic or composite materials, metal dashes were made from stamped steel or aluminum, and they were good for mounting instrument panels, gauges, and also control switches. They were pretty resistant to damage and didn't crack as much as today's cars. Also, they were pretty easy to clean and maintain, with only needing a damp cloth to remove dust and debris. My dad used to have this old truck, and I remember him cleaning the dash and trim with a cloth, and he would always tell me just how important it was to keep that thing looking nice and shiny. I think he loved the sheen of polished steel, as it added a touch of sophistication and elegance to the interior, but I was young and didn't really understand the importance of what he was going on about. But I think that a lot of you watching this video could probably relate to what he was saying, because men in their cars just like keeping the exterior and the interior clean if you care about them. Nonetheless, these shiny features did die out. They posed an injury threat, believe it or not. For example, in the event of a crash, metal dashboards posed a higher risk of causing blunt force trauma to occupants due to their rigid construction and lack of energy absorbing padding. As a result, modern cars are equipped with padded dashboards made from softer materials, which do provide greater impact absorption and reduce the risk of injury in a crash. Number 2, bench seats. Bench seats were a defining feature of vintage cars, offering a sense of spaciousness and versatility in the cabin. That same truck that I just talked about, in fact, had one of these in the front, and we used to sit my dad, myself, and my friend all in the same bench seat as we took our trips to the dump to throw our yard waste out. Yeah, those were pretty good times. But unlike modern bucket seats that prioritize individual comfort, bench seats allowed for a more sort of communal experience that could fit up to 3 passengers usually in the front row, just like my dad's truck. This setup fostered a sense of togetherness during long road trips or family outings, as passengers could easily interact and share the journey. Hell, you could even take naps on them if you wanted to. Like if you just sprawled out and laid across the cabin, you could totally do that. It was pretty cool. I think I remember doing that when I was younger. The design of bench seats varied among car models, with some featuring a solid bench across the entire width of the front row, while others had split benches with a fold-down armrest in the center. These things were a symbol of an era when cars were designed with social interaction in mind. However, as automotive design evolved to prioritize individualized comfort and safety, bench seats gradually fell out of favor and replaced by bucket seats, which offered better support and customization options for passengers. Despite their decline in popularity though, bench seats hold a special place in hearts of enthusiasts who appreciate their nostalgic charm and practicality. They evoke memories of shared adventures and bonding moments with friends and family on the open road, reminding us of a simpler time when the journey was just as important as the destination. If you guys are enjoying this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel and so you won't miss out on any future content. Number 3, wing windows. Wing windows, also known as vent windows, were a beloved feature of vintage cars that provided a unique solution for cabin ventilation. Positioned at the front edges of the main side windows, these small triangle windows could be pivoted outward to direct airflow into the cabin. Beyond their practical function, wing windows added a distinctive aesthetic element to the exterior of vintage cars, contributing to their timeless charm. They often had chrome trim or decorative accents, enhancing the overall design of the vehicle. Additionally, wing windows were a source of nostalgia for those who grew up experiencing the tactile satisfaction of cranking them open or shut with a simple turn of the handle. But as automotive design shifted towards more streamlined and aerodynamic profiles, wing windows gradually disappeared from mainstream production cars. Modern vehicles prioritize efficiency, safety, and comfort, often relying on air conditioning systems to regulate cabin climate. Despite their decline though in prevalence, wing windows remain a fondly remembered feature of vintage cars. Number 4. Manual choke. The manual choke was a fundamental component of carbureted engines, serving as a crucial role in starting the vehicle, particularly in cold weather conditions. As the engine's temperature dropped, the manual choke enriched the air-fuel mixture by restricting airflow, ensuring a good ratio for combustion. Operating it required a degree of finesse and intuition on the part of the driver. I never drove one myself actually, but I did have to use a choke system on our old lawnmower, and man was that thing a pain in the ass to start. Depending on the engine's temperature and environmental factors, the choke might need to be adjusted to achieve the desired starting conditions. This process often involved pulling a lever or knob located on the dashboard and gradually releasing it as the engine warmed up. While it was an effective solution for carbureted engines, it required the driver to manually mess with it, and it was susceptible to human error. Improper adjustment of the choke could result in flooding the engine with fuel or causing rough idling and stalling. Additionally, the manual choke became less necessary with the adoption of electronic fuel injection systems, which automatically adjusted the mixture based on sensor readings and engine electronics. Once these became more popular and the technology got better, the manual choke slowly started to die out. Number 5. Carburetors. Carburetors were an integral part of the operation of internal combustion engines in vintage cars. This mechanical device played a vital role in regulating engine performance, fuel efficiency, and emission controls, making it a key component of automotive engineering for much of the 20th century. One of the advantages of carburetors was that they were much more simpler and generally less expensive to maintain. Although you have to know what you are doing to tune one properly, you don't need a laptop, fuel maps, or software to adjust them. If something goes wrong, they are relatively inexpensive to rebuild or replace as well. They also tend to be more forgiving when it comes to modifications, making them popular among car enthusiasts, like I'm sure you all are watching this video, who enjoy customizing their engines. However, they were not without their drawbacks. Carbureted engines were susceptible to issues such as vapor lock, fuel flooding, and inconsistent performances in extreme weather conditions, as I'm sure most of you know how much of a pain they were to start up in cold weather. Despite their prevalence in vintage cars, carburetors eventually fell out of favor within the automotive industry due to advancements in fuel injection technology. Electronic fuel injection systems offer greater precision, control, and efficiency in delivering fuel to the engine, resulting in improved performance and reduced emissions. While carburetors remain a nostalgic symbol of classic cars, they have been replaced by fuel injection systems in modern vehicles, marking a significant evolution in the automotive technology world. Number 6. Cassette players. Cassette players were the primary means of an in-car entertainment for much of the latter half of the 20th century, providing drivers and passengers with a convenient way to listen to music while on the road. When I was younger, my dad actually used to play Bruce Springsteen on his cassette player in our Toyota Corolla, and there is a really good feeling I'd get popping that sucker into the player that we just don't see in any of today's vehicles since everything has just gone digital. I'm sure a lot of you can agree to some extent with that, which is actually pretty nice. As it goes though, the popularity of cassette players soared in the 1970s and 80s, coinciding with the rise of portable cassette tapes and Walkman-style personal stereos. One of the advantages of cassette players was their simplicity and ease of use compared to alternative audio formats such as vinyl records or 8-track tapes. Users could simply insert a cassette tape into the player, press play, and enjoy their favorite tunes without the need of a complex setup of calibration. However, as technology progressed, cassette players faced stiff competition from newer audio formats such as CDs, MP3s, and digital streaming services. Also, the advancements in car audio systems such as CD players and digital media receivers further marginalized cassette players, relegating them to the grave in the industry. For many enthusiasts though, the sound of a cassette tape clicking into place and the sound of the tape deck are linked to the experience of cruising in a classic car, serving as a cherished reminder of simpler times. Number 7. Manual window cranks. Manual window cranks were a ubiquitous feature in vintage cars, providing a mechanical means of opening and closing windows in the cabin. These simple yet effective devices consisted of a handle attached to a gear, which allowed users to raise or lower the window glass without rotating motion. One of the primary advantages of manual window cranks was their reliability and durability compared to power windows. Since they operated purely through mechanical means, manual window cranks were less prone to malfunction or failure due to electronic issues or motor wear. Another benefit of manual window cranks was their accessibility even for small children. Unlike power windows, which rely on electronic switches, manual window cranks required no external power source and could be operated with minimal effort, except if it were my dad's old truck and the passenger side crank was as difficult as trying to rotate a very pesky Coke bottle with the cap on way too tight. Like all features in this video though, manual window cranks gradually fell out of favor with the automotive industry as power windows became more prevalent in mainstream production cars. Power windows offer greater convenience for drivers and passengers, allowing for precise control of each window with the push of a button. Additionally, power windows provided enhanced security features such as auto reverse functionality and centralized lock controls, further eclipsing the appeal of manual window cranks. Number 8. Manual steering. Manual steering, also known as non-power steering, was the standard steering system found in vintage cars prior to the widespread adoption of power-assisted steering systems. In manual steering systems, the driver directly controls the movement of the vehicle's front wheels through mechanical linkage and physical effort, without the assistance of hydraulic or electronic power assistance. This required the driver to exert greater force on the steering wheel to maneuver the vehicle, especially at low speeds or when parking. One of the defining characteristics of manual steering was its direct mechanical connection between the steering wheel and the front wheels. Since there were no power assistance mechanisms to dampen or filter steering inputs, drivers could feel the road surface and tire traction more acutely, allowing for precise adjustments to steering angle and vehicle trajectory. This tactile connection to the driving experience was prized by enthusiasts who valued the raw, unfiltered sensation of piloting a classic car. Despite its advantages in terms of feedback and simplicity, manual steering had several drawbacks compared to power steering systems. For one, it required greater physical effort from the driver, especially when navigating tight corners, making it less suitable for everyday commuting or long-distance driving. Additionally, manual steering systems lacked the self-centered feature found in power steering systems, which automatically return the steering wheel to its neutral position after making a turn. And I'm sure since all of us, or most of us, drive modern-day cars now, we all know just how helpful that is when you're making a turn. As automotive technology advanced, power steering systems became increasingly common in production cars, offering drivers the benefit of reduced steering effort and improved maneuverability without sacrificing feedback or control. Power steering systems utilize hydraulic and electronic assistance to augment the driver's steering inputs, making it easier to turn the steering wheel at low speeds or when parking. In today's modern cars, you won't find this feature anywhere on any new models. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks.